Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, we're crossing the Atlantic for a second consecutive episode here on the Ajay Bruno Show. My guest today is Genevieve Gaunt, a very talented Dutch-British actress who first appeared in Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban and has been in a variety of roles since. Hello, Genevieve. It's a delight to have you on.
Hello, AJ. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So I know you come from an acting background, but what was it that made you interested in pursuing it yourself, and how did you go about that?
It's an interesting question, and I think it relates to a lot of different professions. We question, why do we end up in certain careers, you know? And yes, my mum was an actress and a theatre producer, and my dad's an actor. But, you know, weirdly, when I was 11 years old, the casting directors for Harry Potter came around my school, and I just went for it and went and auditioned, and nothing was going to stop me. So they came around and they asked for kids who were non-white and had sticky out ears. And I'm Caucasian, and my ears are pretty flat. So I was like, that's not me. But, you know, age 11, 12, I just went straight up to them and said, you know, I think I'd like to have a shot at this. And that's you know, how it started. And 2,000 kids later, I was chosen, and that's really how it started. So I think there was something in me that always wanted to be an actor.
That's great. Well, we were going to get into Harry Potter next, actually. So were you a fan of the series to begin with, and you know, how did you go about playing the particular role of Pansy Perkins?
I mean, the books came out, you know, as I was growing up, so it was a huge part of our, you know, childhood. I mean, the whole audition process was so exciting. When I met Alfonso Cuarón, who's an incredible director, you know, in my audition, I said that my character, Pansy, you know, because she's a Slytherin, she would have a vampire bat as her pet. And when I got the part and I ended up at the studios, I was sent along to this menagerie of animals that they had on set, and I was given a fruit bat. So, I mean, some of these magical moments were, you know, the magic was not just what was happening in the world of Harry Potter, but actually filming it too. So in terms of approaching it, things like that, having a vampire bat and being in the Hogwarts kind of uniform and all those kinds of magical things surrounding it kind of help you prepare when you're in those wonderful sets. You are part of that world, and it's a world that we all love very much. So it kind of does a lot of the work for you.
Sure, that makes sense. And those movies had really kind of a who's who of some of the actors of our time. Can you describe the experience of being on set and working with some of those people?
Yeah, really cool. I mean, I had a very, very small part, but, you know, being 11 years old and watching people at the top of their game, really, really exciting. I mean, for example, I just had a part in this film called The Mercy, which stars Colin Firth and Rachel Weisz, and David Thewlis is in it. And, you know, he was Professor Lupin in Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban. So, you know, 10 years on, he went from being my professor to, you know, playing another character I was working opposite, which was really fun. Yeah, you see people at the top of their game and you learn a lot from them. Really cool.
Sure. No, we're definitely going to talk about The Mercy in a little bit. So do you see yourself as a Slytherin, just as a fun question, or what house do you think you'd fit into?
Which house with Genevieve?
Yes.
Because on the Royal season 3, I actually had to ask, and if you watch the Royals, I had to ask King Robert. I gave him a Harry Potter quiz, and Willow, my character, says very firmly that she's a Ravenclaw, which I think a lot of Harry Potter and Royals fans found quite funny, because obviously I was a Slytherin in Harry Potter. I don't know. Can I be a little bit controversial and say that we've all got a little bit of Gryffindor and a little bit of Slytherin and a little bit of Ravenclaw and a little bit of Hufflepuff all in us at different moments?
Oh, yeah. Well, the Sorting Hat would have trouble with that, but no, that makes sense. Sure. Well, before we go on to the next subject, So there were a few different actresses who played the same role as you. I thought it would be great if they had kept you on for the subsequent movies. Did they ever give you an explanation as why they made that change?
Oh, yes. I mean, we were such babies when we joined the films. You know, I was 12 and Draco was, 4 years older than me. So 12 to 16 is like a huge jump. And, they're meant to become more kind of, girlfriendy, boyfriendy. And it was just strange, you know. And the part was very small. And they weren't even sure it was going to exist, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we kind of naturally dropped out of it because the part didn't really feature. And then as we would have grown up, they then cast someone else, who grew into the part.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So after Harry Potter, you seem to have a bit of a buffer between that and returning to acting. Did you do any theater in the interim, or if not, then what made you not want to continue on further right away?
So I stayed very much in school, and I wanted to go to university. I went and I read English there, and it's really great for drama. A lot of really fantastic actors and directors. Emma Thompson was at my college. Sam Mendes was there. A lot of Ian McKellen, a lot of really interesting actors. So I spent my 3 years there, apart from doing my English literature degree. I did about 10 plays, and it was actually there that, age 20 or whatever, that I really, really realized that I really had to do acting professionally. Because, when you do TV and film, when you're growing up, or I found at least, you go and you do a day here, you do a day there. And then when you get your teeth into like a play, theatre, I got to try all kinds of different play styles, eras, musicals. So, yeah, that was what cemented it really for me.
That's great. So you were in a movie called The Face of an Angel, which had a not-so-subtle comparison to real-life events. How do you approach a role like that, and was filming in Italy as fantastic as it sounds?
It was even more fantastic. We filmed in Siena, which is really beautiful and famous for this horse race, bareback riding horse race called the Palio, which goes around the central piazza, which is very, very dramatic every summer. And we filmed there. So yes, the food is amazing. And Italy is beautiful, and Italians are lovely and friendly. But yes, it was based on a book by this American journalist, brilliant journalist called Barbie Latzo-Nadeau, which looked at the Amanda Knox trial. So the film was loosely based on how a murder case that is as complicated as that is dealt with, and the whole process of trial by media. So it used the Amanda Knox trial as a blueprint, but it wasn't specifically about that case, although people, of course, do comparisons, which is legitimate, But it's not. I mean, it is about that case, but it's about so much more than that.
I haven't seen that movie yet. Do you have to put your best American accent on for that, or no?
Yes, yeah. I do actually. And your American listeners, if they can see it, can judge a lot better than us Brits. But I hope I did it justice. Sure.
No. I think it's funny. There's a lot of British actors that play American parts, and sometimes I guess the training is so good you can't even tell. So.
Yes, yeah, that's the best when you can't even tell. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. So in the series CB Strike, based on J.K. Rowling's detective novels, you were in several episodes of that. How did you end up in another for adaptations, and what was that like being back in another dimension of the Rowlingverse?
Really, really cool. I was a massive fan of the books, the Robert Galbraith Strike series, and I met one of the producers, and I said we were talking about it, and my enthusiasm for the books, and we just thought I'd love to be involved in some way. So there weren't that many female roles, but I kind of came in and had a part in 2 of the episodes just because I just love that world that she's created. She's very good at creating very rich, beautifully vivid worlds with brilliant characters, and then I wanted to be involved in the next one, and I was. It's really really cool. I think you've read the books, but the third one, I said to J.K. Rowling, I was like, you kept me up all night because I was terrified. They are thrillers. Like, I was genuinely terrified. Yeah. It's called The Career of Evil as the third one. Anyway, I recommend reading it, but also don't read it alone in the dark.
No.
Lock all of your doors.
That's scary. Well, that's funny. The Mercy, which you mentioned before, that was pretty recently released. I'm a big fan of adventure movies, and racing in a sailboat around the world certainly fits the definition. What can you tell us about your role in that, and what's your take on the crazy true story the movie is based on?
Yeah, it's a really tragic story. It's about Donald Crowhurst, who was an amateur sailor who tried to circumnavigate the globe in, I think it was 1969. And he tries and he fails, and the only way to kind of escape his failure is he makes a very drastic decision that I won't spoil for you if you listeners haven't seen the film. And I think what's so important about what James Marsh, who directed it, has done is take a story that's from, like roughly 1970 and show it now, and it shows how much our attitudes have changed, because you think Donald Crowhurst, what happened to him, he was shrouded in kind of ignominy and shame. And now I think we're a lot more compassionate in the way that we understand people's personal struggles. And yeah, I think the film does a really beautiful job of showing the reasons why someone can get themselves into such a pickle, and understanding, how people get there. My part, I'm part of the kind of the home crew on English soil who are preparing him to, go off and go on this voyage. It's heartbreaking. It's a really sad film. Rachel Weisz is in it. He's amazing. And Colin Firth does a beautiful job.
No, they're both great. So your current,
so good, yeah.
They're fantastic. Anything Colin Firth is in, I have to watch. So pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're currently a regular cast member on the Royals. From what I've seen, I think if the real royal family behaved this badly, people would probably be taken to the streets demanding the fall of the monarchy. So what's your view of that?
I think we'd have a new and amazing reality TV show.
Oh.
I'd pay to watch that, wouldn't you?
Well, we've got enough reality TV, but that would be something different, yeah. So what's your view of that whole universe, and what's it been like having your first extended run on a TV series?
What's my take on the universe of the Royals, the show, or the British monarchy?
Why not both? Well, the question was about the show, but if you want to give us your take on the real monarchy, go ahead.
No, I thought just thinking about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry and everything. Yeah. The Royals, it's been a really exciting journey for me, because I started on season 2 just as kind of, a small character, and the show is quite unusual. I think it's very unusual, actually, out of any other show I've heard of, in that they write so organically, and they write as we film a season. The writers are still producing the scripts as we film. So people kind of come into the show and they really contribute to their characters, and then that has a kind of an effect on their relationships with other characters. So the writers and the producers, they build up people they sew them into the fabric of the story as we film, and that's what happened with my character. Mm-hmm. My character Willow, when I auditioned for her, was called Florence, and my real middle name is Wilhelmina, which they shortened to Willow. So we kind of contribute parts of ourselves, I guess, these parts, and that's really exciting. And the best thing from an acting perspective is that because we don't know, 2 scripts ahead what's going to happen with the story, it means that just like in life, we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what's going to happen next either. Mm-hmm. We know broad brushstrokes, but it's been really cool.
Yeah.
It's been really cool.
Yeah. Interesting. So I've always been a huge Elizabeth Hurley fan, especially ever since Austin Powers. What's it been like working with her particularly?
Really great. I adore her. She's so great because you never know what people are going to be like. You know what people's like. You know what they're like behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. She was so welcoming, really professional. She's got a really good sense of humor, and she's no nonsense, and she's a really good person. So no, I couldn't have had a better queen to work with, to work for.
Well, until you're queen, right?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, who knows what's going to happen?
So, people may not be as familiar with the work you've done in theater. Would you tell us about some of the plays and roles you've been involved with?
Yes, I'm actually in the last week of rehearsals right now for a brilliant new play. I'm really excited about it. It's called Monogamy. It is a new play. It's a dark comedy, which I love doing. When I was at university, I did a Martin McDonough play. The guy who did 3 Billboards.
Yeah.
I did one of his called The Lonesome West. Really, really funny play. And this is also a dark comedy. And we're doing a little UK tour, and we've got some London dates at the end of May and June and July. So if any of you lovely Americans come over to London, come and check out our play. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. It's very much about the world of television. It's about a television chef, Britain's most loved television chef, and what happens when the cameras stop rolling, when the mask is kind of pulled back from her professional life, and we see all the skeletons in the closet, and all the dysfunction, and all the family drama. So that's what I'm doing now. And in terms of other plays that I've done, I did a play called French Without Tears last year, which is a Rattigan play. So it's a 1920s English comedy, which was lovely. And before then, I fell in love with America when I was 20 because we took a touring production of Antony and Cleopatra, the Shakespeare play. We flew to Florida and we toured all the way up the east coast of America. Went through so many beautiful, wonderful places, all the way through Virginia, up to Rhode Island, to New York. We kind of did a huge kind of loop up the east coast. I kind of fell in love with America, so I really want to come back. There's so much to explore.
No.
I think that's what's great about theatre or any job that you do that takes continued basis.
Well, that's pretty fantastic. So do you think there's much of a significant difference, though, between working in film or theatre in the UK compared to the US, or is it easy to kind of make that transition over?
Well, I guess, I don't know. So The Royals is an American TV show, but we film it in the UK. And I've done American parts, but they're English films. So I don't know if I can actually, I don't know if I've found an authority on that question, to be honest. But having worked with people, Americans and Brits, I think I love the way that Americans work. So I've spent a lot of time working with them on the Royals and stuff, and I think Americans and Brits work really well together. I think we have a shared sense of humor, actually. Mm-hmm. And and I think Americans, they really bring I don't want to generalize, but so much energy and so much kind of life and real positivity, whereas us Brits can get a little bit kind of a bit ironic and a bit dry and a bit self-deprecating, and some of that American, some of that energy is really, really, really healthy and really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at forms of entertainment, TV shows, that sort of thing that you tend to enjoy, do you gravitate more towards American or British shows, and what do you tend to like?
I mean, I was in LA in February, and just actually being there on the ground, we're reminded like how much you guys are so at the kind of epicenter of all things creative when it comes to entertainment. So some of my absolute favorite shows are American TV shows. I mean, from The Affair, like Orange is the New Black, and Billions, and Modern Family, and then like The Handmaid's Tale, and oh my God, so many Mad Men, Girls. I mean, they're just brilliant at the forefront of like everything that is excellent in terms of writing, directing, acting. But then there are certain shows like The Crown and Fleabag and some of like the golden oldies, like, you know, The Office and The Thick of It, and you know, there's the best of the British and there's the best of the American, and I think it's really cool when we kind of feed off each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, it's nice to say, I guess, that now we can watch kinds of different shows because of all the online streaming platforms, and the world is getting a lot smaller, you know, in that way.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot to watch, so that's for sure.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
But not something like Game of Thrones that wouldn't appeal to you since that's so big everywhere.
You know what? This is really naughty. This is really naughty, but I've actually never seen it.
No. Oh, it's quite an admission.
Because I know, but this is the thing, right? This is the pressure. Because it's like so epic and everyone raves about it so much. I keep telling myself, no, you're not allowed to like enter at season 4. You have to start from the beginning. But then like the pressure keeps mounting because obviously they keep making more of it. So one weekend I'm just gonna have to like have a wonderful Game of Thrones binge. You know.
No. We have a year to catch up, I guess. Yeah. So a movie you're in called Hippie Hippie Shake seems to be in a long-term state of limbo. What's the hold-up for that one?
I think that's not coming out ever.
No.
I think, yeah. I mean, I did that when I was 16, 17. Yeah.
That
no,
long?
I think that's not coming out.
No. Did they tell you why?
Who knows? No, I think there was some creative disagreement. I honestly couldn't tell you. It's like it's a decade ago, really.
No.
So no idea.
It's strange.
No idea.
They spent all that money to make the movie just to not release it. So very odd.
Gosh, yes. I mean, you never know with things like distribution and stuff. Maybe it was cheaper to can it. You just don't know.
No.
But for the record, let's just say I was great. And then, I'm joking.
No.
I have no idea. I don't even know if we made the final cut. Who knows, AJ? Who knows?
No. Maybe it was a conspiracy to deny you an Oscar. You never know.
No, I don't. No, that's taking the piss now.
No. That phrase we don't say here.
No, taking the piss. That probably sounds something like going to the loo or something.
Yeah. I know what it means, but that is what it sounds like.
For the record, that means like taking the mickey. Taking the piss means taking the mickey. I hope I'm allowed. That's not a swear word in this country, is it?
No, we'll allow it. So you have an upcoming movie called A Quest for Rainbows, which looks like it might be filming in the U.S. Can you share any details of that, and are you planning on filming that here, or what's the story behind that?
So I was approached with this beautiful script, and they asked me if I'd be interested in playing this part, and I would be. So what the next step is usually they go on, they're in pre-production or whatever, and they'll kind of work out the finer points, and then if and when we go to shoot, hopefully I'll be on board. Usually how it works.
Yeah.
But it's a cool script.
So nothing 100% official then?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh. There's people who update sites like IMDb who tend to jump the gun then, I guess.
Well, no, I think it's in pre-production.
Is
but,
it?
Yeah. So that means that they are working out all of those details.
Sure. So in terms of any upcoming projects you have, are there any ones you haven't mentioned you can tell us about? Is your show likely to come back for another season, or what's the story with that?
So I think this is the kind of time where they decide on whether or not it gets to season 5. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm doing, I don't know how big Doctor Who is in the States, but I'm involved with the audio dramas that we do over here. So I'll be doing some more of those. They're made by a company called Big Finish. And yeah, it's really cool because you get to do these stories, these scripts, these audio dramas, the original Doctor Who's. So I've been working with Sylvester McCoy and Peter Davison, but maybe that's a little tiny British island thing and not a global thing.
Well, in terms of Doctor Who, that's definitely really big in the U.S. There's so many people who watch that. I've been meaning to give it a try. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but everyone says how great it is.
It is great. And yeah, as I say, I was in LA in February, and I was on Venice Beach, and I was walking along, and I'm a bit short-sighted, you know, and I had my sunglasses on, and it was like bright, and I kind of squinted. I was like, no, surely it can't be. And this eccentrically dressed Englishman with a cane in the middle of Venice Beach, like, starts walking towards me, and I'm like, oh my God, and it's one of the old Doctor Who's. Like, literally in the middle of Venice Beach, like, and then, you know, given the Doctor has a TARDIS, like a time travel capsule machine thing, I was like, yeah, am I imagining this, or is this just, you know...
Small world.
Very small world.
Did you recognize him, or did he recognize you?
Oh, we both did this. You know, when you bump into someone at the supermarket you haven't seen for a while, and you see them across the other side of the street, or if you're me, you start waving wildly at someone, and they look at you like you're mad, and then they realise that, and you both realise that you've never met before. They're just like the receptionist of some, you know, place, and yeah. But no, actually, we were kind of squinting at each other, and then we realised, and kind of like, oh my God, and we both sounded very English, and probably said, oh my God, many, many times, clapping hands and things. Yeah.
Wow. So was that just a vacation you took, or was it professional reasons too?
It was for the Royals, actually.
Press, I guess.
We do these really fun hangover shows, which are on Facebook, the Royal Hangover. After each episode, we kind of discuss it and digest it and do a recap and talk about our favourite moments. And so I went over to LA in February to do that, which was really fun. It was actually my first time in LA, and it was wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty great. So a couple last questions here. First, I'm curious, do you have any creative influence that really you look to in terms of actors or actresses, or anyone that you tend to draw inspiration from?
In terms of actresses, I love Andrea Riseborough, someone who keeps kind of coming up in so many things. She's brilliant. In Birdman and Basil of the Sexes most recently. Emma Stone, wonderful. Jessica Chastain. Madeline Brewster, who's in Orange is the New Black and The Handmaid's Tale. Helena Bonham Carter is a real favourite of mine. I think being in London, we have a lot of great theatre as well. And I think that, you know, going to the theatre a lot and seeing lots of different shows and seeing people, you know, really at the top of their game, really good at what they do, and that's really exciting. Simon McBurney is a great actor, and he has his own theatre company called Theatre Complicité. And I just saw his production at the Barbican called The Encounter, which is really awesome. People like that who kind of push the boat out creatively and imaginatively.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think is great in particular? Have you ever met Stephen Delane? I'm a huge fan of his.
Oh, I think he is just the embodiment of soul. He is just amazing. He's a really amazing. He's beautiful. I mean, yeah, he's wonderful.
He's phenomenal.
I still remember his performance from The Hours, and yeah, The Tunnel. He's just wonderful.
No, great in everything he does.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to our final question, I'm curious from a logistical point of view. I know you have a union there called Equity. So does that mean to work in the U.S. you have to join SAG, or how does that work?
I think the whole visa legal thing is probably relatively complicated and a question for a lawyer, to be honest. But because I think it changes person to person. I mean, for example, you don't need to be a member of Equity to work in the UK. It's a union, but it's not compulsory. If that makes sense.
Right.
With working in the US, I think it's just a case of getting a form of a visa, and I think people have to show, who you are and what you want to do over there, and why you're the best person for the job and stuff. But to be honest, I'm not really 100% sure exactly.
Yeah, just curious. So our final question, do you have any long-term goals in particular, whether that's creatively and acting in some way or something else that you really want to achieve and pursue?
Well, singing is something I love. If I could combine comedy with singing in some way, I would love to do that. And writing as well. Really, the greatest gift is to be able to be blessed to continue doing the thing that I love, which is acting, and to have been lucky to work with such great people up until now. That is really great. Getting up in the morning and not feeling like you're going to work with great people, doing what I love. I'm so grateful for that every day. Oh. So if that could continue, I'd be a very, very happy bunny.
That's great. And you can always write a musical so you can combine both of those.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, absolutely. At least my mum would come anyway.
At least your mum would come. No,
yeah, that's what mum's for, right?
Right. That would be great. Actually, real quick, I think I saw something where you mentioned you wrote or starred in a one-person show. Did that ever happen, or no?
Working on that currently, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's potentially in the pipeline then. Great.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, it was fantastic talking to you, and thanks again for coming on. I hope you have a
lovely to chat, AJ. Thank you for having me. All right.
Of course. Great.
Bye-bye from London.
Bye.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. It was Genevieve Gaunt. Nice talk we had there. First time we had a foreign accent on the show, actually. So that's a first for the Ajay Bruno show. And I guess we'll be back next time with a new great guest, so be sure to tune in for that. Once again, if you're not signed up for the email list, you want to do that. tinyurl.com/The Ajay Bruno Show. You won't be sent too many messages, just the key updates, and I'd like it if you sign up too. So both those reasons alone are definitely a good thing, good reason to do it. So until next time, this is Ajay Bruno. I'm signing off. So long, and thanks for joining us.